I'm leaving out huge players for my FPL team for game week 1, so you better strap in, because we're going to get controversial. FPL sucks my entire being into a pool of despair and self-loathing. Since the game released for this season, I've already spent countless hours building this first team draft, which I'm going to show you in this video. I've been researching the stats, getting confused by the new website layout, taking a break to cry in the corner, and then back to looking at the stats again, because this season, for me, is a must-win. I don't think my sanity can handle it for much longer. I've been playing for 10 years. I've never cracked the top 100,000. And that, for me, that's a win for me. I'm not gunning for number 1. Don't worry. You can have that spot. A win for me is the top 100,000. I don't know. Maybe it's time for me to give up on such childish dreams. But hey, most gamblers quit before their big win. So let's keep betting on red, baby. But yes, my team. I think there are a couple controversial decisions here. Big players who are highly owned, which I'm ignoring for what I believe to be good decisions, which I shall explain. I'm sure you've heard the cliche, you cannot win FPL in the first week. So what's the goal here? Not to do anything too crazy. I want to build a sensible team, acquire a strong points foundation until I wildcard around game week 4 or 6, and then use that to springboard me up the rankings, blah, blah, blah. 32 game weeks later, I end the season in the top 100,000, the top 1%, easy. Because right now, you and me, we're the dirty hippies protesting about being in the 99%. We want to be up on the balcony with the top 1% Wall Street fat cats, looking down at everyone else laughing. That's the FPL dream, and this is the team to achieve that dream. Starting in goal, Kelleher, cheap as chips for a good starting keeper. There are obviously concerns for Brentford this season. Their manager has gone, their captain has gone, their joint top goal scorer has gone. There's talk of their other top goal scorer going. Their new manager has never managed a game before, and their best outfield player they've signed so far is a 35-year-old Jordan Henderson. But you know that there are positives, like the kid Kelleher. He can surprisingly grow a thick mustache. I mean, look at that. Straight out of the 70s. I mean, if I were a striker against him, I'd be terrified of that tash. He looks ready to tooth at me in the knees. Good for him. So as long as he doesn't shave, I think Brentford will be fine this season. And even let's say they do have a disastrous campaign, I don't think they'll be leaking the goals. And the save bonuses from Kelleher's mustache gets, that would be good enough for me. And at just 4.5 million, I can use that extra cash, which I'm saving on him, to hopefully bring in more points elsewhere. So, defenders, starting in defence, Murillo, Tarkowski, and Ait Nori. Okay, so let's address first Murillo and Tarkowski, because both these players are less than 5% owned. So 95% of you are probably thinking I'm crazy, which even if I were, that still wouldn't necessarily make me wrong, right? But first, a question for the class. What's the new point system being introduced this year? Anyone? Anyone at the back? Defensive contributions. Defensive contributions. Yes, that's right. Well done. Which means that this year, a defender who makes 10 blocks, interceptions, or clearances will receive 2 extra points maximum a game. Doesn't sound like much, but Murillo and Tarkowski are the 2 defenders available who last year received the highest defensive contributions. That means Tarkowski would have gotten 44 extra points last year, increasing his total to 149. And Murillo would have gotten 38 extra points, increasing his total to 168. Pretty tasty indeed. And on top of that, they have good fixtures on average for the first 6 game weeks, so they could nab a couple clean sheets on top of their defensive contributions. As for Ait Nori, he's a more obvious choice for the FPL traditionalist, one of the highest goal involvements for a defender last year whilst playing at Wolves. So now in the Man City team, you would expect him to be even better, right? The issue for me is that bloody Pep and his roulette. Can you honestly say You'd be surprised if Pep benched Nori and kept Guardiola on at left back. Yeah, exactly. So he's a rotation risk, but I have him in my team with that knowledge. Now on to midfielders. You'll see here that a certain long-sleeved individual is not here, a Mr. Cole Palmer. That is correct. Good observation. I shall tell you why in a minute, don't worry. But first, let's focus on who is in my team right now. Mamouche, the first midfielder, Mamouche. Again, Pep roulette and all that. He could be a rotation risk, I get it. But, City's fixtures are good. And excluding Luis Diaz and De Bruyne, who are no longer in the league this season, Mamouche got the 4th highest goal involvement per 90 since arriving in January. So, yeah, he's a good pick for me. Now, Rodgers next. For a £7 million player, it's a toss-up between Rodgers at Villa and Johnson at Spurs for me. Johnson, last year, got more shots in the box, a higher goal involvement, and saw a higher rate of big chances. However, new manager, no Angeball, could result in fewer chances for him this season. And Villa have better earlier fixtures than Spurs, so right now, Rodgers is my man. Next is Wirtz. Last 2 seasons with Leverkusen, 63 games, 44 goal involvements. Enough said. And yes, I'm aware that there is still a risk as he's coming from the Bundesliga and has never played in the Prem, and that players coming from the Bundesliga, there's a 50-50 chance if, they're gonna hit or flop. But I'm fairly confident he'll bank some returns. He'll have to flop pretty hard to not return in this crazy Liverpool team. Now, Caicedo, only 5.5 million. He's a player I've got because of his high defensive contributions last year. Now, this new point system is harder if you're not a defender. You have to make 12 blocks, interceptions and clearances to get 2 points, not 10 if you are a defender. But Caicedo received the most defensive contributions in midfield last year. 42 defensive contributions last season would have brought his total points up to 140. Not amazing, but for a 5.5 million player, that is pretty good. And with Chelsea's good fixtures, I'm anticipating a couple clean sheet bonuses to go along with them too. So what do you think about Caicedo? He's a decent pick, right? And only an 8% ownership, so pretty differential. Lastly, Salah. Come on. There's no justification needed. Last season, he got his highest point tally ever in the game at 344 points. He doesn't look to be slowing down, so he's in my team. I didn't need to think too hard for that. On forwards, immediately I will address the elephants that aren't in the room. No Haaland. I'd rather go with Salah. They're roughly similar priced, so Salah's the choice for me. I already explained why. And also, crucially, there is no Isak. Why? Why is that? Well, it's for a couple of reasons. A, Newcastle's fixtures aren't the best, with Villa, Liverpool and Arsenal in the first 6 game weeks. And B, as of recording this, we have no idea what's going on with him. Is he staying or is he moving? I've no idea. So right now, it's just easier for me if I pretend he doesn't exist. So who is in the team is João Pedro. With Chelsea's fixtures, I do feel it's necessary to have a Chelsea attacker in here somewhere. However, I am concerned with him. One, I'm not confident that he's not a rotation risk with Liam Delap. And I already have 2 City players that fit that rotation risk category. And 2, he's not a prolific goal scorer. Yes, he did well in the Club World Cup final, but in the league last season, half of his 10 goals were from penalties. And I suppose that leads me on to the third point. He won't be on penalties anymore at Chelsea. Palmer will be. And his non-penalty expected goal stat is the worst for a striker in his price range. So at the moment, he's occupying my spot because of Chelsea's good fixtures, and he has an incredibly high ownership of around 60%. So I'm scared of going against the grain. If everyone else gets his points and I'm missing out on it, that could put me at a huge disadvantage, I think. So if I grow a sack, maybe I'll replace him closer to game week 1. But yeah, I just have my doubts. Let's move on to Watkins now. Yes, he's expensive, but Villa has good fixtures at the start of the season, so he can definitely score some goals. And he had the third highest goal involvement per 90 for a forward last year. Simple. He's in my team. Now my bench, let's keep it quick. Brentford backup keeper Valdemarson. Valdemarson, in case Kelleher is replaced for whatever reason, saving me a headache. Next, we have West Ham defender Maximilian Kilman. Cheap and good defensive contributions last season's, though, thinking about it now, I might just go for Wan-Bissaka, who's also the same price. But will Kilman's defensive contributions outperform Wan-Bissaka's attacking threat this season? Now there's a question for you. But let's move on to Twanzebe. Now at Burnley from Ipswich. I'm not ever planning on using him. Let's see. I mean, they're a defensive team. If he's a starter, maybe his defensive contributions will be good. But right now at only £4 million, he's just occupying my bench. And finally, Scarlett from Spurs, my cheapest forward at 4.5 million. Again, not going to get points, but he's in there because he's cheap. Okay, so how much is this team costing me in total? £99 million, giving me £1 million still to play with and shuffle things about should I inevitably change my mind closer to game week 1. I'm not too unhappy here. However, the potential huge downside to this team, I promised you I would address the Cole Palmer omission, and I'm a man of my word, so here we go. I love the kid. He's the Premier League's Forrest Gump, and that was my favourite film growing up, okay? 100% of his brain's processing power is for football, and it shows. Yeah, he's amazing. He's great. The first half of the season last year, Palmer achieved a goal involvement of around 1 per 90. 1 goal or assist every game. Only Salah and Saka had a higher goal involvement per 90 than him. And even removing penalties, he's well above average. However, the best thing I did last season was to cut Palmer loose early in the second half of the season because, well, he wasn't great. His goal involvement per 90 fell from an average of 1 goal or assist a game all the way down to 0.3 for the entire second half of the season. Harvey Barnes, Decore, Rice, Garnacho, they all had a better goal involvement per 90 than Palmer at the second half of the season. So despite how good he was in the Club World Cup, there's no doubt he's a big game player. He can't even spell the word pressure. He has no idea what it means. In the league, however, there are just big doubts for me. I'm not saying I will never own him again. Of course not. I probably will own him at some point. I'm not even saying he won't be in my squad for game week 1 the closer we get to it. But what I am saying is I'm conflicted. And right now, I'm more comfortable spreading money elsewhere, which I think will be more beneficial for my team as a whole, if that makes sense. I mean, I might give myself some wiggle room, a way out. If I can keep my team at around 99 million, I will have that leftover 1 million that I can use to help fund a transfer for Palmer when he inevitably scores a hat-trick against Palace the first game week, and I immediately regret my decision because he's not in my team. So of course he's going to grab those points. But right now, I'm pretty happy with this team. I made a video recently talking about my new 80-20 strategy, which I'm trialling this season. Quick summary, roughly 80% of my players are popular, 20% are differentials, 80% are based around fixtures, 20% are fixture-proof, and approximately 80% are nailed starters and 20% are rotation risks. I'll link that video in the description so you can watch that later. But first, you made it this far, so please like and subscribe because we are on this journey together. You and I, we're making it to the top 100,000, the top 1%. And let's make this a collaborative effort. Let me know in the comments how shit my team is and what your team is so far. What big players are you just unsure about? Because FPL sucks when you get tunnel vision and there's no one to snap you out of it with a shovel to the face. All right, see you later.